Forget to do that. And then we're good to go. How are we? Happy Tuesday. I hope you're all having a good week. I'm Lindsay. I'm going to be with you one session per month for the next 6 months, all about PR. So I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to do a bit of an intro session. We're going to do a sort of an intro session this week and then delve into the specifics of PR and media, I guess, more specifically over the next sort of 5 months, I guess you could say. So let me just pull up my bits and bobs that I want to say. If anyone wants to say hello, tell me if you're live, tell me if you are hold on a second. Tell me if you are watching on replay. I'm trying to find my, what's here? Here we go. So, as I said, my name's Lindsay. I have been working in media and PR for pretty much 20 years now, probably even longer actually, if I actually stop to think about it. And the good thing is I've done different things along the way. So I've done events and I've done, my body confidence coaching, which I still do. But I guess you could say that my PR work has been like the one constant in my career. I started my career as a journalist, and then after moving into PR, I've worked across lots and lots of different business types now in the public sector and the private sector, including transport, housing, local authority, college, and most recently sort of entertainment industry, hair and beauty and well-being. So a really nice, hi Suzanne, a really nice mix of PR roles that have given me such a rounded sort of PR experience. And like with any career, you have your ups and downs with it. And even though it has its, challenges, like one thing I've never doubted is the importance of PR in business. And even recently, within the last few years, I've just found my passion for it again. I've had like a bit of a resurgence of my enjoyment of it again. So that's why I'm here. So what is PR? Well, a lot of people think PR is just about the media. And for me, there's a much wider sort of communications element to PR. But having said that, for this series, I will be focusing mainly on the media and mainly on how we can maximise and generate media coverage for our businesses. For me, public relations, which is obviously PR, is all about your reputation or the reputation of your business. Like it centres around what is the public perception of your business, and that public perception is created in so many ways, in terms of like virtually every touch point that someone will come into communication with across your business really feeds into your public reputation. As a PR manager, often you spend some of your time trying to boost the company's reputation, and you spend some of the time trying to defend the company's reputation. Certainly in the case of big corporate companies where they tend to have lots of public ups and downs, get themselves into some PR scrapes, could you say, that, where it becomes very important to defend the company's reputation as well as to promote it. For smaller businesses though, I guess I would say PR is a hugely important part of your strategy to help more people hear about you and to allow and enable your message to reach more people through the various PR channels that we have. And these PR channels can include the media. Obviously, a lot of the time it's through press releases, written media, it might be through broadcast media, it might be through podcast appearances, it might be through doing talks at events or in online groups, or it might be around blogs and different like copywriting opportunities. That all feeds into PR, and that is all, as far as I'm concerned, that's all part of PR and communications. We want people to know about us. You know, that's the main thing. And I still fully believe in the power of PR. You know, I think these days, especially when we think about communications around our business, we often think about social media, we think about marketing, we think about maybe even like paid advertising. But often we forget about PR channels, and we forget about the media. We forget about good old-fashioned PR. And, you know, I think there's very much still a place for it. So I'm just checking in there to see if anyone's asked any questions. So here are some PR golden rules to get this series started. So the first one is never lie. Now, this sounds like a really obvious and quite daft thing to say as a rule, but you would be amazed at how many people are tempted to tell untruths, you know, downright lies when it comes to sharing information to the media to try and get attention. And so that's why I always say the number one rule of PR is never lie, because if you are found out, it will do untold damage to your reputation. The art of PR is all about presentation. You know, we present things in a way that works for us. We don't tell lies, we don't tell mistruths, we don't make things up. We tell a story, the best possible story that we can, based on the facts that we've got in front of us. So we present those facts in a way that is as interesting, as creatively, and as engaging as we possibly can. Number two, golden rule, is get creative. Now, PR opportunities don't always land on your lap. In fact, they very rarely do. Occasionally, you might, by a stroke of luck, get some amazing positive PR through something that just sort of landed there and fell on your lap. But, you know, that almost never happens. Most often, we have to think up our own creative ways to generate interest in our business, to generate interest in our brand. We have to be creative with what we've got. So we have to think about what will be interesting to people, what is going to grab and keep people's attention. How can we tell this story in a way that makes people want to hear it? And I think for me, that's a lot of the time, there's lots of different ways to do it. Some of it could be use an example of real people, which is always an interest to the media, which is always an interest to the audience. Telling the story of real people, it could be customers. Sometimes it could be partnering with a relevant charity or an event, or some different kind of collaborator that's all ties into the messaging and gives an overall stronger message. Sometimes it's aligning with awareness days or different times of the year that make what we're saying more relevant or more topical in that moment. So we tap into that. And in terms of creative PR, that is, I'm going to delve into that a lot deeper in the next session. And we're going to do a full session on ideas around creative PR, things that work, how to set it up, how to approach it. So I'll be talking a lot more about that in next month's PR session. Golden rule number 3 is have a clear news hook. Now, often businesses feel like they deserve PR for launching a new product or maybe reaching a certain business milestone, maybe around sales, or it could be their 10th birthday or something. And they're interested in it. It means a lot to them as business owners, and they're quite rightly proud of it, and they think others will be interested too. But in reality, these kind of business successes tend not to have like a strong enough news hook to entice the interest of the media. So that's where you've got to think, what is our news hook going to be? What is an angle that will attract the media's interest? So for example, if it was your 10th birthday. You could hook something into 10 reasons to do this. You could pull together the number of customers that you've served in that 10 years, and you could say the number of customers we served is the same number of people that live in Eaglesham, for example, and give a little bit of context around that. We need a news hook. We need an angle that will attract the media's interest. So we have to ask ourselves, what are the media interested in? So that brings me on to golden rule number 4, which is think about what the media want. Because a lot of the time it's about playing that game about, how do we tap into what is useful to the media? Because at the end of the day, they want to be able to share information and news that is in the public interest and that they think people will be glad to hear about and that they think will get people talking and sharing, and get good engagement around it. So they might not, for example, write about a big business that's won an award because they don't see that as really particularly beneficial for people to know, but they might write about a small business that's opened a new premises that benefits the new area, or that's launched a new service that's helpful for people to know about, that people are going to benefit from and might share amongst each other and talk about. The media also love something quirky, something different, new, that people haven't heard of before, but that will really get them talking. So, it might be a bar that opens, but they're launching a certain kind of drink for the first time that no bar in Glasgow's ever sold before. It might be that they are using a certain kind of ingredient that no one's ever put in drinks before. These kinds of quirky, different news angles can really work really well. Another thing the media love is firsts, local area firsts, Scottish firsts, UK firsts. Firsts are always welcome in the media because they show like recency and relevance, and it truly feels like, breaking news that has never been heard before. So if you've got a first, then you've got much more chance of the media being interested in it because they want to be the ones that facilitate sharing that. So that the golden rule number 5 is give context. Make it as real to people as possible. Often, businesses share things that could be quite interesting, but they don't share it in a very interesting way. So if I use a bus company as an example, because I used to work for a bus company, you could say, our buses are helping to remove hundreds of cars from the road every week, which is, amazing for the environment. That's good, that's nice, but is it attention grabbing? Possibly not. So alternatively, you could figure out the average number of cars that buses take off the road every week. You could park them all up somewhere or find a car park that has space for X many cars, get a photo and release the same story, but sharing more detail, sharing a visual to go with it, and it's got a clear news hook, and it's much more interesting than just a bland statement that's a bit vague. So it's about thinking what will make this interesting? How will people relate to this story? If we're talking about a number of people, say, relate it back to that's the same number of people that XYZ. If you're talking about how much money you can save by buying your product, relate it back to something that means something to people. Say that's a month's free, that's the equivalent of a month's electricity bill or a year's gas bill, whatever it might be. And that helps people rationalize it and put it into context in their brains. And it's really a helpful way of getting your messaging across. And I guess that's the thing to take away from this session is messaging. And We're going to delve into lots of different parts of PR as we go forward through these sessions. But for now, I think as a takeaway, PR is all about messaging. It's about what are my key messages and how am I going to share them as creatively and as engagingly as possible. So if you're thinking about your own business, maybe as a little exercise to do now, think about what are my key messages about my business? What are the top 5 things that I would want to tell people about my business and share and have them know? And then with those, we can take those forward through the next few months and figure out how we might build ideas around those messages in terms of like gaining media coverage. So that's my 5 PR golden rules for now. I guess if I was to add one final thing on this, it would be that PR is a lot about trial and error. I've always found in PR there's plenty of dead ends, and sometimes you need to go back to the drawing board, you need to have a rethink, you need to, you know, review your plan, you need to maybe change your angle a little bit, you need to have tailored messages for different media, maybe you need to try alternative media that you haven't tried before. It's all part of learning what works. So I guess the main thing is don't give up too quickly with PR. You know, sometimes it's a long game. It's about building relationships as well. And yes, there's a lot of trial and error involved. But if you do it enough times, you get there. You always get there in the end. So from now on in the next sessions, I'll be going into a lot more detail on some key areas of PR, including like creative PR, which is next month, writing press releases, finding media contacts, dealing with a media crisis, which hopefully we never really have to do, but it's good to know about, and also doing media interviews, just in case these things might be helpful for you going forward. Just checking the comments. Oh, Suzanne, oh, I'm so glad, it's so helpful. And Jen, for sure, you can go back and listen in. If you've got any questions at all, just drop me a little DM or put it in the comments here and I'll see it. Also, if anyone would like a PR planning chat about your business at some point, then I can help you firm up your key messages, talk about your target media, and create a bit of a plan going forward so that you're like ready to enact your media plan. Then you can always book a PR Power Hour with me. I'll put the link in the comments as well. So I hope you've found it helpful. Like I say, this was an intro. We will be going into a lot more detail going forward. And yeah, drop me a message, let me know if there's anything I can help with, and have a great day. And I shall see you very, very soon.